The Calvin Ridley news is crazy to me. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. What did it end up with? He got 50 for three or something.
I thought it was like 4 for 90 something.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, because they got fucking Hopkins, like you guys really think you're that close so you can keep
Yeah,
Derrick Henry around, but you're making 90,000 or 90 million for
4 years,
for
92 million.
Calvin. Nick
Um,
Westbrook Akina is a free agent, dude. You got to replace that
got to replace
productivity.
him, yeah. And then maybe that helps out Burks though, hopefully. Um,
If he can't get it at this point, I mean,
yeah.
shit, he can go back to the slot now.
Mm,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, that it might actually go well. I mean, we'll
could.
see. I'm sitting on one share of Will Levis,
I
so
have one share of Levis as well.
it's
So
gonna be
hopefully it
fun.
goes well. I think Tajay, I'm buying the dip on Tajay. If anybody's
Oh
like
yeah,
upset about that Tony Pollard signing, I'm like, give me him. Give me.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to like just keep deucing on. No offense, Deuce Vaughn. Hey, on Tony Pollard, but like, I was never buying that,
Mhm.
man. Come on, what a
Um,
wild,
how
wild
how about the
animal,
Texans, bro?
dude.
The Texans are
Yeah,
gonna be
when
so good.
I mean, I was like, okay, yeah, I get Schultz, whatever,
Yeah.
And then they're like, nah, we're gonna fuck around and get Daniil. And it's
Yeah, let's go
like,
get Daniel Hunter.
oh,
Like, oh,
oh,
oh, him and Will
okay, yeah,
Anderson? Oh,
him and Will
Jesus.
Anderson, yeah, wow. Man, so the real question is it really Zach Moss or we filling this Chase Brown stuff, Is that coming back? That's what I need to know
It could be Chase
for
Brown, but
personal reasons.
maybe the Bengals grab an RB in the draft
Yeah,
too. Who knows? The
yeah,
Giants, yeah.
it sucks. Who did they get? Did they bring someone in to play quarterback or backup?
Uh,
Okay.
they did. It was Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. Okay, never mind. Yeah, the one that got me was that Flacco in
The
Indianapolis.
Colts? I like that.
Yeah,
Get
dude, they're
Richardson
like
some old
hell or
man
high water,
Flacco
baby.
wisdom.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
My friend, I'm ready for the domination. I'm telling you, it's going well. How about you, Christian? Anything cool going on?
Not really since last we got together. We're hitting you twice this week, like I said
That's
at the
right.
end of last episode. So we are back. So it's been a shorter break from normal. But we're gonna be hitting you with the Midwest bracket today, which is a bracket that I would say is near and dear to both of our hearts, living in and having teams from the Midwest. Um,
True.
so not much is new with me, but a lot new with our Dynasty rookie bracket having already cleared out the first wave of don't want to call them losers, but I guess victims of that's worse. I don't know.
First
Losers of
round
the
casualties.
first round casualties. There you go. That's a better word. The first round casualties from the West bracket, and we're gonna lose some more fun members of our tournament today. You got anything for us before we get started, or just want to roll right into it?
I'm good, man. I think it is worth noting that I've been seeing some crazy fantasy football trades going on following
Mm,
some of these crazy new landing spots in free agency.
yeah,
And I think it's beautiful, but I don't know. I don't know how these people are doing it, man. I don't know. It's just like too early. These
it's
trades
too.
before the
Hey, man,
draft just scare the shit out of me. But there's no risk, no reward.
that's true. You got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes. It can
Absolutely.
backfire, but hey, when it works, it works. AJ over there making moves, friend of the podcast, he's going
Yeah.
crazy this offseason. So
Dude, he's not stopping. It's whatever, dude. Good for him.
it's fun to watch.
Hmm.
But all right, without further ado, let's get into the Midwest bracket. Starting with our one seed, you knew it. right when we said Midwest and one seed, it is Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State,
Let's go
going
Buckeyes.
going up against the number 16 seed running back Tyrone Tracy Jr. out of Purdue, around my old stopping grounds in Indiana. This one's not super close. We covered
No.
Tyrone Tracy a couple weeks ago, and I kind of stand by everything I said in that podcast. He's a wide receiver convert to running back, so he adds a lot of versatility to the running back room. You can use him in a lot of different areas, plus maybe even special teams. But the guy's already 24 years old. He's gonna be a rotational kind of backup piece that doesn't really pop, in my opinion. I do like him as a player, but there's no chance of him even sniffing beating Marvin Harrison Jr.
No, he'd be lucky to meet Marvin Harrison Jr. at this point, but um, no, dude, it was I don't know. Obviously, yeah, Tracy takes the L here, but it was weird to watch a little bit of that Purdue, man. I felt like
Mm,
that offense was struggling and the O-line was kind of rough. And then like somehow Tyrone Tracy was just like making things happen, like half of his yards were on breakaway runs
mm.
and no fumbles, right? Number two, and elusivity as far as like this tournament goes.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and the top yards after contact, pretty good, doing 4.44. And it was cool. You proud of him, right? Pretty good combine with the agility scores of
yeah.
96 and
Hmm.
a 93 on the burst. Like you get it pretty excited about that. But man, I'm hitting it hard here on the first matchup, doing a lot of I'm opening myself up to you. And I want to tell you something.
Okay.
Um, you can tell this guy is a wide receiver conversion to running back. The way he runs, a little
Yeah.
upright,
Hmm.
a little too, a little big, heavy shades of guy Tank Bigsby from last
Mm.
year. I'm
Okay.
getting big Tank Bigsby vibes, and it's not a good thing. Bigsby was coming out with like a 4.16 on the yards after contact, and he had most of his yards on breakaway runs. So there's a lot of parallels, and I think the success level at the next level could be similar as well, personally.
Gotcha. Yeah, and if it is similar, then you're talking about a guy. I know we're hearing a little rumbles of Tank Bigsby maybe getting more work and Travis Etienne's role slowing down. I've been seeing that, but like now you're talking about a guy who's going to be 25 and you're waiting on his second year breakout. Like,
Right.
just not something that I'm super invested in terms of dynasty. I'm not gonna burn a dynasty rookie pick on that unless it's a later one. Like if he falls and falls, maybe I'll take a chance, but not even in the second, maybe third. That tough. He's talented. It'd be tough to say no in the third, but that'd be kind of where I'd look at him personally. So we've got our number one seed moving on. Marvin Harrison Jr., a favorite in this tournament, is clearly moving on from round one. So we got our next matchup a little closer. The number 8 seed tight end. This is our, if I'm not mistaken, our heaviest tight end bracket, the Midwest, which makes sense.
Thick.
Those thick Midwest boys out there doing work in the tight end room. I like it. So we got Cade Stover, tight end out of Ohio State, going up against Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky, wide receiver. Interesting matchup here. How do you feel about this one?
I'm gonna have to give it to my dude Malachi.
Mm,
This really just popped like a mo
hmm.
coming off the screen. Like I'm excited to get even deeper. I didn't spend a lot of time on Corley
Hmm.
because like this is an easy dub for me,
Yeah.
my opinion. Um, yeah, so that's where I'm at. He's doing everything I need him to do to get past Stover.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think Corley is an interesting little X factor in this draft. When we did his profile, we were comparing him to Debo Samuel, and I still kind of think that. I mean, he's like this bigger, shorter guy that runs with a lot of power that can kind of do the dirty work over the middle of the field and kind of just do everything you need him to. I think he's going to end up being a slot receiver in the NFL. And I think he's going to be great in that role. Small school guy, so we'll see if he can step up the competition level. But I think he's going to fit in a lot of different offenses, and he brings something different that a lot of these guys don't over the table. I think there's three guys that really, really dominate the slot role in this draft to me, and Corley is one of them. I've got Malik Washington, Roman Wilson, and him. Um, in terms of guys that I think are going to be awesome slot receivers. And so, um, as much as Stover has some interesting traits, he's a really good blocker, I think. He's a
Yeah.
solid tight end that could be a starter in the NFL if he lands in the right spot at some point, but I just don't see him ever being like a top target in terms of tight end fantasy production.
Yeah, I'm with you there. He had very few drops, so
Hmm.
he's got a little bit of good ball security. But, coming out of Ohio State, you want to see a little bit more usage in the passing game. So he
Hmm.
did have 576 yards with 5 touchdowns, but he's just a touch slow in his routes and then a touch small to muscle through tackles. So
Hmm.
you really got to really line that kind of stuff up when you're talking tight ends. So
Yeah, big
he's
time.
not cutting the mustard on that.
Yeah, I don't think so. He had a hard time separating, in my opinion, which is going to be tough for him in the NFL. But he'll be on a roster because he's
Oh
a hell
yeah,
of a blocker.
really good
Um,
blocker.
so he'll be fine there. So we've got our first upset of the evening. Malachi Corley defeating Cade Stover. You know, the 8 versus 9 seed, still an upset. I'll take it.
Couldn't be more
Um,
upset.
Moving on, we've got our 5 seed, Audric Estime, running back out of Notre Dame, going up against Isaiah Williams, wide receiver out of Illinois. This one was hard to me, but for a different reason than you'll usually hear me. It's more because like neither of these guys excite me very much at all. Both were relatively slow for their position, with the 4.7 for Estime and a 4.6 for Isaiah Williams. Isaiah Williams is also just small. He's another one of these guys, 5'9", 182. We had three guys in the last bracket, the west side of the bracket, that were like 5'8" and a little less than that, but all ran really fast compared to him. And so he kind of fits in this weird spot. But I don't really know what I want to do with that either because Estime kind of weighed in at a little less than I thought at 221. He's still super young, but then he did run that slower 40. The burst percent was pretty good though at 87. So I don't know. My gut says I guess maybe go with the running back because there's just less running backs, but I'm not super sold on either one of these guys.
Really? Well, we're gonna have to do something about this estimate stuff with you, man. Because I get it, I get the hesitation, but I still think you gotta keep them in the top 6 in
Okay.
this class. So
All
I'm
right.
just saying. So whereas Isaiah Williams, like you named it, like he's too slow to be this size. He did do a lot of work out of the slot, and you got to give him some credit where credit is due. He had 24 missed tackles force, which in this tournament is the top five number.
Mm,
Yards after the catch is 553, which is a top five number in this tournament, but at the bottom five number, he's got a lot of drops.
mm,
His one of the worst targeted QB ratings and yards per reception to 12.9. That's a little low for what we're going for here, but he was extremely high volume, 127 targets. So that's how he managed to get some of his numbers up. But you want to see more than just over 1,000 yards when you have 127 targets, kind of ridiculous.
mhm.
But you know, it's all right. I thought that he was one of those guys that you watch the film and he doesn't like finish his routes with conviction. And I'm like, come on, you got to at least finish the play. So that was a bit of a iffy red card for me, but yeah, way too slow for his frame at that 4.63. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
you got to have that quickness and speed to your game. Not that he's not quick, I suppose. I do think I'm with you. Maybe his routes didn't have that ending that you needed or that flair to him or whatever, but he has a little bit of agility to his game. He was out there making plays, but yeah, just not enough for me to get invested in the NFL. So our 12 seed Isaiah Williams loses to the 5 seed Audric Estime. So he is moving forward in our tournament. Going up on the next matchup here, we've got our 4 seed, Jamari Thrash out of Louisville, wide receiver. And we got a little team on team action because he's going up
Louisville.
against the 13 seed, Isaac Garindo, running back out of Louisville, who
Louisville.
smashed the combine, weighing in at 221 and running a 4.3, a 98% burst score. We already talked about him. I want to hear your thoughts on not trash, Thrash.
He is complete trash. Yeah, man. Louisville, man. Shots fired. Here we go. My opinion on him is that I liked him. I wanted to like him. I liked his ability as his fast moves and agility and
Mhm.
adjustments to shake defenders at all points along his routes without losing speed was pretty cool. I thought it was very smooth,
Mm.
but he just didn't have the upside and the appeal that Garindo has. And I
Mhm.
saw a lot of balls hit his hands that didn't get pulled down. And he's not one of those guys that has like the outrageous drop number. Oh yeah, 8. Yep, second most in the tournament. And so that really hurt me just watching it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, nothing really jumps off of the page for me for Thrash. He was a fun guy to watch, and I do think he has potential. Pretty good. I mean, 4.46 at 6 foot 188 is decent enough where I'll take it, but it's freaking Isaac Garindo, dude. Like, come on. What are we doing here? You got to give him he's the Cinderella.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I do like Thrash though. I maybe I'm a little higher on him than you seem to be. I thought he was a good route runner. I think he's a
Yeah.
potential like sleeper in this wide receiver class, but Garindo is also a potential sleeper with a tremendous amount of upside. Like if this
Mm.
athleticism could be put into like a 3 down guy, and we could just see this all the time, he could be tremendous. But we didn't even see him all the time in college. You know, he split time in that backfield as well. So that concerns me slightly, but it's not enough to make me not want to take him over Thrash because Thrash, as much as I like him, I do think he's got a pretty clear ceiling on him, which is like a wide receiver too. If and that's it, that would be the ceiling, obviously. So that would be like your best case scenario. Whereas Gorindo, if he comes out and somebody decides to know how to use that athleticism to their advantage, then this guy could be a tremendous workhorse for you for a couple years. Obviously, he's a little older, gonna probably turn 20 or he's 23 and a half, so he'll turn 24 going into the rookie season. So we don't love that, but if you can get 3 or 4 years out of him being a workhorse, then I would take that over Thrash.
Yeah, I'd say that's what you're getting, a little more potency. Yeah, Thrash was good. He was good. The drops were like
That's tough.
glaring
Yeah,
and
that's a tough one.
it's hard to unsee that once you yeah.
Yeah, when your job is to catch the ball, if you drop it a lot, it's really easy to tell.
Yeah, that's you killing us. So
So, wow, a huge upset here. The 13
gigantic.
seed Isaac Garindo going over Jamari Thrash. Uh, Team on team bloodbath there. Moving on to the next matchup, we got our 6 seed Blake Corum, running back out of Michigan, going up against our 11 seed Cody Schrader out of Missouri, also a running back. Man, these guys are similar in size, not
Yeah.
super far apart in terms of production. They're not super far apart in terms of like their workout necessarily. I mean, at
Yeah.
least this past year for Cody Schrader. Um, I'm going Corum here. I like Schrader. I like him. He's not afraid of contact. I I don't know. Like he's a good player. I think he's a role player. I just don't know that as much as I'm not even like a Corum guy, I think Corum could hit the ground running if he lands on a team where he can be like immediately the starter potentially, and maybe you only get like 2 or 3 years out of him because I do think he's gassing out. I just see Schrader as another kind of role player guy, and I know he came out of Mizzou, so it's an easy connection to make, but similar to Larry Roundtree, where he ends up on a roster, kind of just dinks and dunks around for a while, and then just kind of vanishes. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Corum wins. Schrader, Yeah, he's cool. You gotta love the production.
Hmm
1,600 yards. That's a pretty solid year in the SEC. You gotta love the story, right? Went to Truman, he walked on, and then now he's leading the SEC and rushing yards, and it's great. But he did kind of lack some power for me and didn't test well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the crazy thing is, I still love him as a receiver,
Mm.
just based off of his open field ability and his Senior Bowl. Like he had what, 5 catches for 54 yards there, but he graded out as a receiver at 54. Like that's a bad grade. That's a
hmm
horrible grade. We don't want to see that at all. So that makes me a little skeptical. Um, but man. I just think, yeah, you're right. He's one of those Larry Roundtree type guys where if you watch every game and you see the success, you can start to be like, hey, SEC,
Kind
high
of
end
convince yourself.
competition.
Yeah.
But then it takes more than that.
hmm
4.61 just wasn't getting it. He doesn't have the edge, even if he did have one great year
hmm
of college production. A lot of people have that. I don't want to talk about Benjamin, but he definitely had a top three rushing yard campaign in college, and that didn't
hmm
really pan out for him. So
Yeah.
I'm not doing this again. Cody Schrader, I'm out.
Unfortunate, but I think we're making the right call here. So Blake Corum, our 6 seed, moves on over Cody Schrader. Moving on, another Michigan guy, our 3 seed, JJ McCarthy,
Uh,
quarterback out of Michigan, going up against our 14 seed, Ben Sinnott, tight end out of Kansas State. Um,
Kansas State.
man, I don't get it. I like McCarthy, man. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why people seem so down on him. I think he's like so we're gonna have some interesting conversations. It seems like I think he's kind of like a sneaky athlete that can run when he needs to, but more importantly, I think he can throw the ball on the run pretty well. And he's super young, only 21 years old right now. I think he's a really confident thrower of the football, but maybe a little overconfident. Um, Maybe to the point where you can maybe like say it's poor decision making. But I mean, also, I've seen him whip balls into windows that definitely shouldn't have been, but then they ended up being caught for a touchdown. So I don't know. Like, I kind of like him, and I don't think he's as far behind, say, a Drake May or that kind of territory. Like maybe as the fourth QB there, if you go Daniels, Williams, May, and then I'm not sure that McCarthy's that far behind. Maybe I'm terrible and wrong about this, but I don't know. I also think he's going to land in a better position. Future Minnesota Viking JJ McCarthy is going to be thrown to potentially Justin Jefferson instead of going to the Commanders or the New England Patriots. I don't know, man. I like McCarthy. It seems like you're not as big of a fan. Speaking on Senate, he's a strong blocker, got good size. And I do think he's big enough to keep blocking in the NFL. And I do think he's a pretty good receiver. I do think he has some like sleeper tight end upside, but just I don't know. I like McCarthy.
Yeah, there's nothing not to like about McCarthy. It's the Brock Purdy punchable face to me,
Gotcha.
Like, do you smile in your sleep? Like, why are you guys always smiling all the time?
Yeah, that's
Just
fair.
freaking me out. A little creepy. It's a little creepy, but he's a national champion. And I swear to you, the Patriots are going to trade back in the top 10 and get JJ and get some extra help they need
Okay.
by trading back a little bit. That's what I'm seeing, and then I think it'd be good for them. It won't be as good as playing with Justin Jefferson, but JJ needs JJ, man. I guess that's the whole new thing. But yeah, Senat. I don't know. I thought it was, yeah, he was a fun blocker. He like
Mm.
got where he
Yeah,
needed to be.
he was aggressive.
Like yeah, and I wouldn't, I don't know. It was kind of, it wasn't, I don't know. He could have been a smoother blocker, but he was like 100% committed to block. Um, but yeah, I thought that the routes were good and the physicality was great. And the catching was really good. I thought, yeah, his top 5 yards in amongst tight ends, and that's not just a tournament, that's like all of college ball.
Hmm.
So when you get a 669 for six, that's a really impressive little tight end year. So I'm with you on that. The combine was solid,
Hmm.
and he's one of the younger tight ends. He's not yet 22. I think I'm trying not to get too excited about him because he's tight ends, man. I mean, it happens a lot. I'm
Hmm.
trying to think of all the Texans tight ends that I got excited about. And there was like the Will Mallory year. It doesn't matter. I'm
Brevin
over all this
Jordan.
stuff. Brevin Jordan. So I'm trying not to get too pumped about him. But in a droughty kind of tight end class, like this is the kind of guy that's probably going to get some love, and I think could probably develop into a pretty solid tight end. So he's right at 250, 6'4". So he's right there. He's doing good enough, and he's
Yeah.
got the good catch radius on him too.
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah. I think he could be like a solid little tight end. And little sounds condescending. I don't mean it that way, but solid tight end in the NFL. But I just think there's some upside here to McCarthy that I think, especially like
Oh
in super
yeah, I
flex
mean
leagues.
McCarthy takes it.
Yeah, that yeah, for sure. So like especially in super flex leagues, I think he's a sneaky value add later in the drafts for you. Whereas Senate, I do think is a sleeper, and I would be interested in him later in the drafts, just not quite as interested. So 3 seed JJ McCarthy moving on, 14 seed Ben Sinnott. Take a seat. We'll see you come the NFL draft. Two matchups left. Here we go. 7 seed Ray Davis, running back out of Kentucky, going up against 10 seed running back out of Wisconsin, Braylon Allen. Woof. They both are interesting to me. They both have red flags. Ray Davis is that he's 24 years old at a position that ages out really quickly. And Braylon Allen's strength is that he's only 20, which is insane. I feel like I've been hearing his name for a while, but he didn't test overly well. 23rd burst score, which is not great. He's kind of slow and plotting this big, massive guy, which is cool, to watch, but I just don't know that it's going to be successful. And while Davis may not have like a very high ceiling, I do think he's a good player and had a good combine. 4.52, not amazing, but not bad. Weighed in at 211. He's a 1,000-yard rusher with 14 touchdowns. I do like him. I just don't know that either of these running backs are going to really be that fantasy viable. I think Davis slides and ends up being a rotational guy. And again, on you can burn a rotational year on a guy who's 21, 22 years old, but if a guy's
Right.
24, you can't really burn that first season. Um, so to me, that's a scary thing about Ray Davis, but I think in terms of a player, I think Ray Davis is better in terms of a runner, but I'm not sure where I would go here.
Okay. Well, shoot, I wasn't ready for this. Um, Honestly, because I really still like Braylon Allen a lot, but I don't know if I can put him over Ray Davis. Like the
Mhm.
age is his big
Yeah, that's
thing,
his one thing. Yeah.
but Davis, I mean, he's old. He played for 3 different college teams. He missed all of 21 with the knee injury. But then, like, he scored 7 touchdowns as a receiver this
Hmm.
year. Like, none of these other guys did that
Not even
combined.
close. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then he had a 91.4 on the rushing grade and comes in at a 4.52. It's just like doesn't really feel like, I mean, obviously he's not going to be your RB1,
Mhm.
but when you're looking at Braylon Allen, like, he's got sides of him that could, get kicked around, like not
Mhm.
finish his rookie deal with the team type stuff.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
or he could be a badass, a sleeper, but I don't know. I think I have to give it to Ray Davis in this
Okay.
situation, though.
I'm with you. That's who I did pick. I just think
Okay.
it's just scary. We're talking about Aaron Jones. We talked about he's 29 and is getting cut off his first team and moving on, and everyone's, oh, this will be the last place he goes. And we're talking about a guy who's going to come in and is only 5 years younger than him. So that's the scary part. But I'm with you. Like, elite receiving ability out of the backfield. Um, Definitely a hell of a runner. He may not have the career length that you want to look for. And like you're saying, he's not going to be your RB1, but he could be your like third guy. And I'm talking on a fantasy roster. I think he could be a starter for a year or two in the NFL. It just like how long is that career when you're already 24? But Allen's just this wild card to me where he could end up being cool and like end up fitting somewhere. But then just on the flip side, it could, like you're saying, he could just kind of get drafted late, hang around for a bit, kind of get cut, end up on a practice squad, and just kind of disappear from the football world. So I like Davis here too. It's unfortunate because Allen is a more popular name and it's a more fun name, but I just think Davis will give you something more.
Yeah, Allen's trending down right now. Uh, and
Mm,
I think like I'm still into him. I'd still probably, if I was sitting on the clock in a draft, might go Allen just for the, you do have time to wait.
hmm
But like the reason that I'm okay with him is he got 1,300 all-purpose yards and 12 touchdowns at age 17 in the
hmm
Big Ten. Like that's pretty sweet,
hmm
and he didn't fall off. Like
Yeah.
he had consistent production. He would have had 1,000 yards if he didn't have the high ankle sprain this past year. So 3 years, 1,000 yards, 11 or 12 touchdowns. But he didn't run the 40, and that was my red flag. He does have a pro day on the 15th, which
hmm
is yesterday or 2 days ago. I can't remember. So I'll be excited to see what his 40 time was. But the real reason that I'm giving him the L here is he had some really crummy looks in the drills at the
hmm
combine, like was dropping passes and kind of looked out of sorts.
Yeah.
Wasn't impressive. And so, you gotta be able to believe in it,
hmm
even if it on paper you got a 235 pound guy um who was playing at an elite level when he should have been a junior in high school or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it, there's a lot of potential for this to be awesome, but it takes execution, and he's got to prove it before anyone's going to give him a chance.
Yeah. 100%. And I'm skeptical that he'll get that chance, to be honest. But we'll see. I do like him. Or at least would love to see him do well.
Very
Um,
intriguing.
But all right, so we got Ray Davis, 7 seed, moving on with Braylon Allen, 10
Uh,
seed, staying home. So our last matchup of the Midwest round of 64, we've got wide receiver two, Ramon Wilson, coming out of Michigan, and then the tight end out of Penn State, Theo Johnson, as the 15 seed. Maybe shouldn't have been a 15 seed, and unfortunately runs into a buzzsaw here, in my opinion, with Ramon Wilson. But holy combine for Mr. Theo Johnson, just breaking all sorts of barriers. A 4.57 on the 40, weighing 259 at 6'6". 97 percentile speed score, 95th percentile burst score. Could be sneaky in a tight end class that's really Brock Bowers and nothing else. So
Crickets.
that's fun, but it's not going to be. I don't think he has a chance to beat Roman. Roman, I think, is a really good slot receiver. I think he could be really, really effective in the NFL. And then that 4.39 speed that he ran is awesome to add that as a little touch to his game. I was saying like he didn't even need necessarily to come out and run that fast. I was worried. I even kind of threw out before in our profiles that like maybe we should anticipate a lower combine and to not get super excited about him. But 4.39 at 5'11", 185 in the slot that's good. I'm good with that. I have no issues there.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I mean, I was in on him. I liked him, and now like I hate it when you like a guy and then he does really good stuff, and like everyone, it's hard to ignore him, right?
Hmm
So, um, yeah, a bit of a juggernaut, man. But Theo, man, Theodore Johnson. Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
healthy and happy with that coming out of Penn State, dude. I mean, yeah, we didn't get a lot of the raw athletic score. We'll be introducing that more in the later rounds.
Hmm.
But I mean, he broke the mold on that metric, pretty much
10
setting
out of
some
10, right?
generational,
Hmm.
yeah, some generational numbers for the tight ends. And in addition to that, I mean, I thought he had good hands and he knows how to get to the open spots on the field. He turns up field really quickly. It was crazy to like watch his film because I thought he was really squirrely,
Hmm.
and then to see like, oh no, like this guy is an insane athlete,
Hmm.
with as far as his measurables. I did not see that coming, but it kind of made a lot of the things make more sense. But yeah, he is very versatile, and I think he's got a big shot to be pretty solid tight end at the next level. A few things that stand out is the 7 touchdowns. There were only two tight ends in all of college football that did more than that. And one thing, if as far as his entire career, he's scored on 15.5% of his receptions.
Wow.
So that pretty much tells you what you got here. I mean, it's heating up. The athleticism alone is going to get him a definitely, I don't know. I want to say like, is this guy going to get the back half of the second round? Am I crazy? No,
Maybe. I mean, in a weaker
that
tight end
feels like a
class.
day two guy.
Yeah, I could see that or a third round.
Yeah.
People do need tight ends. It seems to be a more popular position, kind of coming in waves like that. So yeah, I could see that somebody taking a chance. Like Jelani Woods is somebody that's similar to that. Had a really high RAS in a combine, and he got taken, I believe, in the second or maybe third by the Colts. We've not really seen the fruits of that yet, but that I could see. Yeah, I absolutely could see Theo Johnson potentially going, and who knows, even potentially maybe before Roman Wilson in the NFL
Mm,
draft.
mm.
That would be wild to me, but like you never know. People need those tight ends, and outside of Bowers and Jatavion Sanders, there's um not much going on there. So a lot there's like the three guys mostly in this bracket that we talked about, Sennett, Johnson, and Stover, that are kind of all good to average sleepers or whatever. But yeah, but just the I just, teams need three, four, five receivers to be good. And I think Roman fits really well. Whereas Theo is a more development project at a position that already takes kind of long to develop rookies. So
Yeah.
that's another reason. But I am with you. Johnson, especially with that combine, has become a really interesting name to watch.
Yeah. Hard to ignore. He definitely moving up the draft board. So
Yeah, big
sweet,
time.
man.
Well, all righty
Midwest in the
then.
bag.
Midwest, the whole left side of the bracket is done. So recapping our winners real quick, we got number 1 seed Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State winning. Number 9 seed Malachi Corley, wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. 5 seed Audric Estime, running back out of Notre Dame, moving on. 13 seed Isaac Garindo upsetting the 4 seed, running back out of Louisville, moving on. Blake Corum, 6 seed running back out of Michigan, also moving on. And his Michigan teammate, 3 seed JJ McCarthy, quarterback,
Champions.
also moving on. Then we got another running back moving on, Ray Davis, the 7 seed out of Kentucky. And finally, the 2 seed Roman Wilson out of Michigan, also moving on. So three big Michigan wins
Damn,
in the
dude. They
Midwest
continue to
bracket.
win.
Continue to win. This is probably their most important win that they've had in the last 6 months,
Oh,
I would argue.
yeah. As far as, yeah, prestigious, like
Yeah.
tell your grandchildren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man,
Gather
I made
around,
it.
little Wilsons.
I made
Let me
it
tell you.
through the
Defeated Theo
first round.
Johnson.
Dude, Theo wasn't shit. Alrighty, guys.
Ah,
So that's our first two sections of the bracket done. So this next coming week, we are going to talk about the Atlantic
mm,
side and the South side of the bracket. So please, if you liked this content, we're going to try to hit as many of these guys for you. So you have a thought about every single person coming up in your rookie draft. So please come join us if you liked this sort of thing. And if you like it, go back. We got a lot of profiles, scroll through our stuff, audio, Spotify, YouTube, whatever you want to do. But
mm.
until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Take care of yourselves.
at least I